Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today's webinar is on Google Analytics Premium, being facilitated by our Manager of Digital Analytics, Charles Farina. At AP, we are a Google Analytics certified partner and premium reseller. We help our clients better understand their customer. We've worked with people like GoPro, ASICS, Yelp, just bringing our clients closer to their customers. So we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end of this, so either type them into the GoToWebinar panel or save them for the end. And we'll now turn this over to Charles. Thanks.
Thanks, Callie. Thanks for the introduction. As Callie mentioned, I'm Manager of Digital Analytics at Analytics Pros. I have been using Google Analytics for probably over 6 years now, heavily on the consulting side, and have been involved with Premium since the very beginning. And I'm very excited about the news that came out this week about the new Google Analytics 360 suite, which we'll talk about a little bit in the call on how that changes some of the discussion items that I had prepared actually for last week versus now this week with the announcement. So the agenda for today and the plan is we're going to actually walk through mostly a live demo instead of lecturing for 30 minutes on what Premium is. So I'm actually going to be in the tool showing you the differences between the free and the premium version, showing you the features that matter and where we've seen the biggest success with clients in being able to leverage the platform to make more money, make better decisions, and really promote GA within the organization and open up the data. So the plan is we're going to start off by going over an overview of some of the core features between free and premium, and then we're going to dive right in. I'm going to show you some really exciting features. There's a brand new one called Custom Funnels, where we have the ability to actually build funnel visualizations that are retroactive and can even be user level. We'll talk through BigQuery and how that informs businesses from the business intelligence or the BI perspective. We'll talk about the pain points that many organizations have with sampling and how Premium addresses those. We'll talk through the DoubleClick integrations that are Premium only and how the data not only feeds into Google Analytics, but how Google Analytics can actually inform and create audiences back in DoubleClick products. And then at the end, we'll talk through Rollup Reporting. We'll talk DataDriven Attribution and the attribution modeling capabilities, and then a little bit around the setup, services, and support. And then we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. So as we begin this webinar, if there's any audio issues, please chat in the chat box. Our internet went out this morning, so crossing our fingers that we don't have any disruptions. And then as you have questions, just enter those in the box, and we will address them as they come in. So excited to get started. So the first slide that I have here is just an overview of what the difference is in the platform are from the standard or free version and the premium version. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight just some of the important ones instead of reading through this whole list. So the biggest difference between free and premium is that premium is an enterprise product, and it's designed to scale with organizations that have lots of data or complex needs or are really using it within the organization in a number of ways. So the first big difference is that the free version has a hard limit of 10 million per month in their terms of service for the amount of hits you can collect. And premium has a flat rate for the first tier for 1 billion hits per month. And that's in the $150,000 or $12,500 per month, gives you up to 1 billion hits. So it's flat rate. And then there's additional tiers that go all the way up to 20 billion. So I'm happy to share any pricing questions you have on what that looks like. So with that, right away, the platform can handle more data. Sampling, we're going to talk through that. I'm going to show you the pain points around that. The sampling right now goes from 500,000 sessions to 50 million sessions with Premium, which means when you're using the platform, almost all of the data is going to be available for you unsampled. And the Premium team is actually working on making that go up even another level very soon, which I'm excited about. The other differences are the ones to highlight here. You get access to some Premium-only features. We're going to talk through BigQuery. BigQuery is where you get access to raw GA data. If you're heavily into advertising, the DoubleClick products are going to be very important. Those integrate with Premium only. There's also a data-driven attribution modeling feature. So on the feature side, those are the most important. And then it also includes services, support, and setup, where obviously the free version has none of that. You're kind of on your own or have to work with an outside consultant to configure that the way it needs to be. So to start off with, I'm going to actually take this and take you into a premium interface and a premium demo. So on my screen right now, I have access to a demo account for the Google Merchandise Store. It's a store that you can buy like Frisbees or T-shirts or some branded hats, all highly recommended for Christmas gifts. But this is real data, and we actually have access to all of the premium features in here, which is really exciting and an opportunity to show you some of the data in action. So I'm going to start off by showing you my favorite feature. So we can notice right away that we have Google Analytics Premium in the left-hand corner. That indicates that this is a premium account. So one of my biggest pain points with the platform since I got introduced to it has been the ability to build visualization or funnels. So all the time clients tend to ask questions and want to understand how users flow through the website, or how certain content leads to conversions, or how a series of events or actions or steps lead to an outcome. And trying to build an actual visualization or segment or any sort of pathing sequence is very challenging in the interface. And that has actually been addressed through a brand new feature called custom funnels. And if you have premium, the custom funnels is going to live in the customization or the custom report section of Google Analytics. And I'll walk you through what creating a funnel in Google Analytics Premium is like and how easy it is. So when you create a new custom report, if you have premium, you'll see this new funnel beta. And then this funnel beta, unlike goals, when we create goal funnels, those aren't retroactive. The funnels we create here actually will be retroactive, and we can use all the data we have in an account. So I can say I want to look at a funnel of users who are flowing through the Google Store and interacting with content and, let's say, products and then purchasing in a certain order. So with this, I have the ability right here to specify either a user funnel or a visit funnel. And then I can just go down and start adding the steps I want to create in this funnel. So I might say step 1 is a content goal. So I want our users to view the home page. So how many of our users view the page? So I'll just select my filters, do a page. I can search for here and say splash. So anyone that visited the splash page. I can add a step after and say, okay, what do I want them to do after they view the home page? Well, ideally, I want them to have a product interaction. And I know my product interactions are tagged with events in Google Analytics. And there's something with a product, so maybe I'll have a product click. So we'll have this be click on a product. And then I can add a step, and then I can say something like I want them to then add a product to the cart. So I can also do an event action and say add to cart, and say add to cart here. And I can keep going up to 5 steps, and all I have to do now that I have my funnel is click Save. And the premium platform, right away, built a funnel that's retroactive. It's user-based, so we're actually looking at the count of users across multiple sessions in the date range we've selected. Unlike the free version or the free funnels and the standard version, we can actually add event segments on top of this. So I can analyze this funnel for new versus returning users. I can analyze it by different geographies or different traffic sources. It's designed to be very interactive and powerful to explore, to analyze the conversion rates and what the differences are per your segments. And my favorite integration or favorite feature of this is the integration with Google AdWords and Google DoubleClick. So if we hover over any of the steps, we can see we have the options to either create segments or create new segments and remarket. So by creating a new segment, this allows me to take users that go through a certain series of steps and either complete or do not complete an action. So I can build, for example, the abandonments of users who clicked on a product but didn't add it to cart, and then take that segment of users and analyze every report in the reporting section. Or I can click on this create new segment and remarket. And this is an opportunity to take these 2,000 users and send this audience directly to AdWords through Google Analytics to instantly engage or change the way I bid on these users, or hit them with different types of promo codes or some action to bring them back and actually add that product to the cart and ideally go through and purchase. So So you can actually use these funnels and drive actions through them directly with that AdWords integration. So we're seeing a lot of adoption and success of this feature, and it's really exciting and a really big addition. So this is custom funnels. So that's one premium-only feature that's available. So moving on to the second feature I'd like to cover is a little bit around sampling in Google Analytics. So if you ever come across sampling, sampling happens in Google Analytics whenever you make a custom request of the data. So all of the reports by default that Google builds for you and populates in the left-hand nav, they provide unsampled. But anytime you apply an advanced segment, so for example, if I go into the system and I want to look at, instead of my all users, just my sessions, or you add some sort of secondary dimensions, it's considered a custom request. And when you make these custom requests to Google Analytics, when you're on the free version, they're very, very expensive in many situations. So in order to keep the product free, Google introduces sampling. And sampling happens anytime your date range and your count of sessions you're querying exceeds 500,000. So for the Google store, since they don't really have that much data, we have to go pretty far back in time. But once we get that 500,000 sessions, if they were on the free version, they would start seeing this 100% of sessions decrease. So for a lot of clients that have large data, they end up in situations where they're either looking at monthly data or quarterly data, and their sample rates might be 20% or less. And if you have that situation, that can actually be very bad, because if you're taking action or trying to get insights from a sample rate less than 20%, you could be actually misrepresenting what the actual trend is. I guess the best way to think of it is like a bag of M&Ms. If you just randomly go in and grab one M&M out of 5, what's the likelihood it's going to be green? So if you're taking action on that, you could actually be making some very misleading analysis or conclusions off the data. So if you have premium, that instantly goes up to 50 million, and for most clients, that gets them completely unsampled data. There are also a few premium-only features around sampling, so I'm going to switch accounts real quick and go to our own account and show you some of the other options that are available for Google Analytics Premium. There's an option in here called Custom Tables. Custom Tables allows you to actually tell Google Analytics what reports are important to you and your organization, and then Google will take the reports and all the combinations of them and make them available unsampled from you from the time of creation forever from that time forward. So with that, it's really easy to go in and set up a variety of reports to ensure if you're over that 50 million threshold, that you're always able to access that data unsampled. And then the third feature, which ties into unsampled data or querying data at scale, is BigQuery. So for some of our larger clients or clients that have invested heavily into business intelligence or are looking to take data out of Google Analytics and integrate it with other data sources, if you're on the free version of Google Analytics, you have to use what's called the core reporting API. So the free version has an API where you can query data and put it anywhere you want. But the problem with that is, with the core reporting API, you're essentially querying a report. You're not able to query the entire data. So at most, you can pull down 20 dimensions and 20 metrics, but there's no way to pull down the entire Google Analytics schema, which you have to have in order to do deep dive exploration or any sort of sophisticated with that. And if you also have a lot of data, when you pull data out of the API, you may also still be pulling sample data instead of the raw data. So Google Analytics Premium has a feature called BigQuery. And what BigQuery does is essentially, BigQuery is part of the Google Cloud Platform. And BigQuery is simply where Google Analytics Premium stores and provides the raw Google Analytics data for you to use in any way you see fit. So within BigQuery, what we're looking at right now is I can look at, for example, a preview of what this table looks like. You're simply going to have a table of all of the rows, all of the columns with the client IDs, the timestamps. Almost everything you see in Google Analytics is going to be available in this flat table. So with this, you have the ability to go in here and join this with other data sources. You can add personally identifiable information in this because this is outside of Google Analytics and is completely fine. Or what we do a lot of times with clients is when we're doing dashboarding through Tableau or ClickView or even the new Data Studio product, we can get data directly from BigQuery, and that way we ensure we're not working on sample data, and we're able to combine it with other data sets. So BigQuery is a free addition to, or a free integration with Google Analytics Premium, and opens up that opportunity to really take this data, own it, and integrate it with the other data sources. So some of our clients actually do all of their analysis from the BI team in BigQuery. Other clients take data out of BigQuery and put it in their own data warehouse, like Hadoop, Redshift, anything else they're using. And then it still allows the core team or the marketing team to still use the Google Analytics platform and its ease of use to have pre-generated reports, while allowing others who prefer to write SQL the raw data to query it in whatever way they see fit. So in summary, BigQuery essentially allows you to rebuild the entire Google Analytics platform and really open up to do anything that maybe you've always wished Google Analytics could do or could do a better job of doing, because you can build on top of their schema and make it work the way you want it to. So that's BigQuery, and it's a really important integration for many of our clients. So moving on to the next feature that I wanted to cover is a little bit on the advertising side of Google Analytics. So I'm going to switch back to the Google Store, and we're going to talk real quickly about DoubleClick. So DoubleClick, if we scroll down, has a number of integrations here. We see DoubleClick Campaign Manager, we see DoubleClick Bid Manager, we see DoubleClick Search. And if we go to the behavior section, there's also a publisher section where DoubleClick for publishers is also an available integration. So DoubleClick allows advertisers to basically manage large-scale campaigns, directly access inventory from Google, and also third-party sources that are also available through the DoubleClick network. So you can serve ads through Bing. And through DoubleClick for publishers, if you're making money through ads, that's your platform you would use to have all your monetization data. So just like AdWords, if you're familiar with the AdWords integration, AdWords sends cost and click data into Google Analytics, which is really important because it allows you to actually see the ROI and have that cost data as part of the platform in a very easy way to understand and integrate. And anyone who uses AdWords almost always uses that integration. So what's nice is that the DoubleClick integrations have the same ability. So if we click on the clicks column, we'll also see that there's impression and click and cost columns for the DFA or DCM, as well as DBM and the DoubleClick search products as well. And what's really exciting with these integrations as well is there's a beta that's available to actually get view-through impression data into the platform. So if you wanted to actually analyze some multi-channel level marketing and understand how impressions are actually leading to outcomes, in the multi-channel funnels, once you have the DBM and DFA reports, and even for AdWords, you can enable this impression beta, and actually in MCF, if we were to click on our top conversion paths, you would actually be able to see the impressions of ads that are leading to conversions. So if you search for display, we start to see these little eyeballs, and these eyeballs indicate that they're display impressions followed by a visit where that user converts. So this is really one of the only platforms where you're going to have that ability to actually see how that ties together with the rest of your marketing and activities you're using to drive traffic to the site. So those DoubleClick integrations are really valuable. And then the DFP, for anyone on here that's interested in publishing, we can actually bring in revenue data into the platform to help you analyze content performances to see the outcomes that's happening from that. So that's our DoubleClick products. I think that's going to tie nicely into the next topic that we had on our agenda, which is attribution. So Google Analytics Premium opens up the platform to do more sophisticated attribution modeling. And the first feature that we've seen a lot of success with is the data-driven attribution feature. So if you're not familiar with data-driven attribution is a Google Analytics Premium feature where, based off of the frequency and recency of your channels that lead to a conversion, Google will programmatically generate an algorithm to build a model that's unique to your business of what a programmatic attribution model actually is. So the benefit of this is that instead of sitting in a room and discussing for 5 hours what the right attribution model is for your business, or worse yet, using the attribution modeling tools and actually having the ability to build a model that self-serves or gives you the data you're looking for, you can agree as an organization to use this and take the opinion on of what model you should be using. So it's a really easy way to select a model that's way more sophisticated than last touch or first touch and run with it. So the model we're looking at here is unique to the Google store, and if you had premium on your data, your model would be very different than theirs. And what this allows us to do is we can take this data back into the model comparison or the ROI analysis report and see what happens to our CPAs or our data-driven conversions. So if I go to the ROI analysis, here's our data-driven conversions and our data-driven CPA. So what's our cost per acquisition when we use this model? And we also have the ability in the model comparison to see what changes. For example, if we're going to switch from a last interaction model to a new data-driven approach. So I can just go in the platform and select that and see by channel what happens to our CPA. So they're very similar, but our change in the conversion attribution from data-driven, it gives display 46% more credit versus a last interaction model, which makes sense because display is almost always an assisted conversion path. It's never really seen as a closer. And then we can see here, for example, even our paid channels or our CPC is 5% lift with this model. And we have the ability here to get as granular as we want. So we can pull in keywords, campaigns, ad content. It really allows you, if you have a robust campaign tagging process at your fingertips, to have access to all the granularity of your campaign tagging and understand what part of channels are, how everything works together. Because in today's world, it's very rare that there's single-touch marketing. There's almost always a combination of email, paid, social, and other sources that tend to work well together to lead to the outcomes that you're trying to achieve. So that's the data-driven attribution feature, and it's a really exciting announcement and enhancement in here. And we've seen a lot of success by using this. So I think the last feature that's left our agenda or our walkthrough of premium is rollup reporting. So rollup reporting is a premium-only feature which solves a number of challenges that brands and companies have had for quite some time with the analytics platform. So I'm going to switch back to our Analytics Pros account, and I'm going to go into the Home section and show you what I mean by that. So right now we're looking at Analytics Pros, our Google Analytics account. And we have what are considered different properties in Google Analytics. So we might have a website. You can see we might have an instance of an Apple TV app. But more commonly for your brands, you'll probably have situations where you might have a property or different accounts for your mobile apps versus your website. Or you might have situations where you have different brands or different parts of the site that have been separated from each other. So the best way to use the Google Analytics platform always is to have all of that data together so you have a full picture of user experience. And for some time that has always involved implementing all of your Google Analytics to have a common ID, and that involves migrations and code changes and all sorts of complexity. But what rollup reporting does and allows us to do is we can essentially go in. So we actually have a rollup report configured down here. Let's see if I can find it. And we can go into the admin once we get this link through Google Analytics Premium. And in a rollup property, it's the same as any regular Google Analytics view or property you create. But in here, you have the ability to go in and simply select what properties you want to forward data to this new rollup. So if I had a mobile app and I had a website that had for a year been collecting data into their own sources, I can continue to do that. So I have all my historical data and then build a rollup report on top where Google will forward from their server all of the data to this common property and allow us to combine that in this report. And the nice part about it is you have all the same reports that you normally do. You also get this new rollup report. So if you're a brand, for example, like let's say you're Procter & Gamble, you could forward all of your different brands to this common place and actually have an easy way to compare your bounce rate across brands to one another. Or if you have a mobile app and a website, you can forward all the data here, compare the metrics side by side in here, And you even have the ability to go in and set up the user ID or cross-device views, so then you can actually see how users flow across your mobile apps and your website together. So what's nice about this is it's really easy and quick to utilize. You simply click some buttons, and then all your data is together, and then you can start actually doing cross-device reports or cross-brand reports to get all your data together. So between custom funnels, BigQuery, the DoubleClick integrations, data-driven attribution, and Rollup properties, these are the most common features that the premium clients that we work with and that we talk to all the time use most and find most valuable out of the platform. So with that, I think the only thing left for the last few minutes is the services side. So if you're not familiar with Google Analytics Premium, it doesn't just come with all these features. It also comes with actual support and consulting and setup too. So if you choose to go and upgrade to Google Analytics Premium, you're actually going to have a partner who's going to work with you throughout the years to come, every month, upgrading and maintaining the and making sure that you're leveraging all the new features, the platform with your needs, and being able to actually take action on your data. That's what we always strive for, is a place where we're not just using the data to report on, but we're able to actually activate. All included before. We have a webinar later today on Google Optimize, so if you're interested in that, you should join. Google Optimize, platform Google, and it's super cool. Allow you to even take audiences from Google Analytics and personalize or target directly in the Optimize platform. So everything from Google is going to start to work together very nicely. But yeah, so that's all I had planned. I think that does a really quick overview of the platform. So with that, I'd like to open it up and see if there's any questions. So Callie, do we have anything?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions, and if you have more, please just add them to that chat function in the GoToWebinar control panel. The first question is about historical data. What happens to historical data when you upgrade from the free to the premium version of Google Analytics?
Great question. So that's actually a really awesome feature about Premium, is that the Premium platform, you can think of it like an on-off switch for Google. If you choose to go Premium, they'll flip you on. You'll immediately be transferred to a different server within Google, which means some really good things for you. One is that the platform actually becomes way faster, way snappier. You access the data quicker, but more importantly, everything is seamless. So all that happens is you get a new premium logo, all of a sudden you'll have new sampling limits, so you still have access to all of your historical data with the premium features now. And then if there was ever a situation in the future where you decided you didn't want to use Google Analytics Premium anymore, or you couldn't afford it for whatever reason, you can then downgrade back to the free version and still have all of your data and be able to use it going forward. So unlike a lot of other platforms, it's a really nice safety net to have, because it's basically like you just go up or you go down depending on what you want to need.
Great. Next question about integration. So you mentioned things like DoubleClick and BigQuery, but what are some of the other common integrations that work well with Premium?
So as far as the integrations, I would say the big strong part on that is the services model that I mentioned before. So when you work with a consultant like us, we're going to go in and configure the integrations from your website. So for example, if your website features video heavily, or you're a content site, we're going to work with you on implementing all sorts of content analysis, like scroll tracking, the metadata about the content, so you get reports like authors. We're even working on building some systems to more accurately track time on site and engagement. So those are some of the strongest ones. You're going to see the new product suite, the new 360 suite, really hit that sweet spot with being able to integrate GA with Optimize, being able to integrate it with the new Audience Center, using the new Data Studio product, which is Tableau-like visualizations to allow you to basically paint data on a dashboard. I mean, it's all going to work together very seamlessly.
Great. So a kind of a follow-up question for that on reporting, and I think, Charles, you kind of answered it with Data Studio, but maybe you could talk about it a little bit more. How do you make, talking about actionable data, how do you make premium data C-suite friendly? So visualize it in a way that the C-suite can make decisions.
That's a good question. So to be honest, I'm sure you guys have all encountered this before. The higher up a person is, generally the less likely they are to ever actually be in Google Analytics using it. They generally only want to have overview reports or some basics, and usually actually giving them access to GA just gives them way too much data and causes too much noise. So what's really nice about Google Analytics is there's a number of options. You can always give access to someone that actually does have the needs and meets the right fit. You can go in and build dashboards or send automated reports through emails. But what we tend to find the most success with is actually bringing data outside of the platform, putting branding and visualizations on it. So we can use the APIs and BigQuery to actually build automated reports in Excel, Google Sheets, PowerPoint, Tableau, now the new Data Studio. So being able to build the stories and the reports and doing a lot of thought around what metrics are doing, how we're surfacing the insights from those, and then providing those in a gated way tends to be the most successful.
Great, thanks, Charles. So one last question, and this is about the announcement that Google made earlier this week about the suite. What's going to be included in Premium? What's ad hoc or a la carte? What's going on with the release of the suite?
So the new Google Analytics 360 suite, the big addition is now that there's going to be very clear products that are going to be separate from Google Analytics, but they're obviously part of the Analytics 360 suite, but they're going to work best with the platform. So that means with Google Optimize, you could potentially use Google Optimize without Google Analytics, but it's just going to work much better together, and Google's purposely building the products and the integrations so that if you're invested in Google's ecosystem, everything works nicely together. So the announcement that happened this week was just that. It's an announcement. It's Google putting the name and the suite out so that everyone knows it's available. So over the coming months, they're going to start releasing, and we'll be sharing the pricing around the products, the support. But the only thing to know and I think plan for is that Google Analytics Premium or Google Analytics Premium 360 now is its own standalone product, and each service is going to be kind of an add-on on top of that. But there's nothing to share right now as far as pricing or access, and they're closed betas. So I encourage you to attend the Optimize webinar later today. We'll go through that. But yeah, we're really excited to share more as more news comes out.
Great, and I think that's all the questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you have any questions moving forward, you can reach out to Charles directly or us at our gethelp@analyticspros.com email address. And to reach Charles would be charles.farina, S-A-R-I-N-A, @analyticspros.com. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us.